What role does a credit score play when you get ready to buy a house? Now, that's a really good question. In real estate practice, a lot of home buyers have reached out to me and say, hey, Andrew, what credit score is the lender going to use? And what if I'm doing this with like a co-applicant, perhaps my spouse or significant other, and their credit score isn't quite as good? Let's take a closer look at what credit score a lender is going to use. My name is Andrew Finney, and my passion is helping you make sense of real estate. If you need help finding a top agent near you, or if you simply want to drop me a line to say hello, my contact info is below. If you're new here, please go ahead and subscribe to this channel now and like this video. Thank you. All right, my friend, let's take a closer look at this. A lot of people will come to me and say, Andrew, you know, I have really good credit, but my spouse's credit isn't quite as good. My credit scores may be like 750, but my spouse's is like 610. And I'm not certain because aren't there like 3 different credit scores? In fact, my friend, there's actually hundreds of credit scores, so it can get really confusing really quickly. The first thing to know is that there are 3 main credit reporting bureaus. You have Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. Each of them will have their own credit score model that they're using right now to gauge your credit. And that's when sometimes you say, hey, you know, I got that credit score at the 750, Andrew, but a different one said 700, and then there was one at the 725. My spouses said they were down as low as 580, and then they had a 600 and a 620. Well, this is really important to gain insight and clarity on, because when we're wondering which credit score a lender is going to use, they're going to use the middle score. But which one? Is it going to be off the applicant with the higher score or the applicant with the lower score? And this is why it's so important to have this conversation now going into getting a mortgage, so that if you need to work on your credit score, you have the opportunity to do it. In real estate practice, it's generally best to reach out to a trusted real estate advisor 3 to 12 months in advance of when you would like to be moving into your new home, just in case we need to do some work with either your credit score or your spouse's credit score. The second thing you should know is what role is that credit score going to play when you do your mortgage application. And this is very, very important to know. If you do have that credit score that's like 700, 750, maybe some of you even have like 800 plus, rock on, that's an awesome credit score. One day I hope to be right there with you having that 800 plus. That being said, I get people that come into my office or they call me on the phone and they say, hey Andrew, I have a 750 credit score, so I know I can get approved for a mortgage of whatever I want. Not so fast. You see, the credit score isn't a determining factor in how much home loan you can get. It's a determining factor of what credit risk you present to a prospective lender. So when a mortgage lender looks at your credit, they're not gauging your credit by how much home loan you can get. In reality, what they're doing is they're assessing what kind of credit risk you provide. In other words, they're going to deep dive into your past history of your credit report, and they're going to say, hey, how many times has this person applied for credit? How many times is this person over leveraging themselves? What are their debt to income ratios on their credit cards, signature loans, or any other types of loans that you have? They're going to take all of that into consideration. The role of the credit score itself is which loan program are you going to be able to qualify for, how many different loan programs are you going to be able to qualify for, and what mortgage interest rate will you be able to get. Now, obviously, the higher your credit score, the better the loan rate and terms that are going to be provided to you, because you've earned it, because you're a reduced credit risk to the lender. Just want to be very, very clear that your credit score does not impact how much home loan you can get. It impacts whether you can get qualified or not as a credit risk factor. So that's why the mortgage lender is going to be looking at all your different credit reports, and when they're looking at which number to use, they're going to use the middle numeric number. So going back to our earlier example, if you have a credit score at 750, a 725, and a 700, the mortgage lender is going to use the 725 score. In the case of the spouse that may have the 580, 600, and the 620 credit score, they're going to use the 600. So if both of you as joint applicants were to apply for a mortgage and your middle numeric is 725 and their middle numeric is 600 and you need a 620 to qualify, do you qualify? Will you be able to get that mortgage application approved? And that's a great question. So what happens is they're actually going to go off of the lower of the 2 credit scores. So even though you may have a credit score of 725, if your significant other, the person that you're doing a joint application with, has a 600 credit score and a 620 is the minimum number needed for the loan program that you're working on, then they're going to say, hey, you know what? We need to boost that credit score up. Here's some credit repair specialists I could put you in touch with, or let's deep dive into your credit report together and see what we can do to pay off some debts, pay down some debts, and be able to boost your significant other's credit score from that 600 marker to that 620 plus marker, right? So it's important to note that the lender, in short, is going to go off of the lower of the two middle numeric numbers whenever you're doing a joint application. Bring this up because it's a very real factor for a lot of us in the United States. Most of us that get a mortgage are going on with another person. We need to make sure both of our fiscal houses in order and both of our credit scores are on tap and on par for the mortgage application process. The third thing to know is that there are hundreds of credit scores, but the lenders are going to use what they call an RMCR. An RMCR is essentially a residential mortgage credit report, or essentially they will call it in short tri-merge report, which is much easier for your lender to read and review. Typically your RMCR is going to list the 3 of your credit scores on all of your credit report information, and because the scores can range from 300 to 850 on the top end, then your scores are going to fall somewhere within those two boundaries, as we well know, right? The mortgage underwriting is going to be based on the middle of those 3 scores, as we've already talked about. So when they're going to be reviewing this, it's important to know that's what they're looking at. So your credit score, if you were looking at Credit Karma right now or one of the other services available, may show that your middle numeric is a 725 and your significant other is a 600. But the mortgage lender is going to be looking at what's called that tri-merge report, right? And the reason that this becomes important is that with those hundreds of credit scores out there, your credit score for applying for a mortgage could actually be higher than what you realize, because there are hundreds of credit scores out there. So don't let that discourage you. The first step whenever you're looking at purchasing a home or purchasing anything is to get your ducks in a row and ready to go. Well, how do we do that? We identify the team that we're going to need moving forward with our ambition and our goal in mind. So contact that trusted real estate advisor, get paired up with a great local loan officer, go ahead and apply for that mortgage application so that we know where you are. And guess what? Worst case situation, even if the mortgage application gets rejected, is what? We have a game plan of how to help you with a realistic time frame and a goal in mind with a timeline set. Hey, if you take XYZ step, because your credit score, your significant other's credit score was a 600, fortunately we just need 20 points. But if you do these 3 steps, we're gonna be able to help you get a 620 or higher in the next 1 to 3 months or whatever the case may be. Work with your team, identify your team up front. If your mortgage application is rejected, do not get discouraged. It's just a matter of process. Everything in life requires a game plan. Let's put yours together today. So now let's talk about 5 ways to improve your credit fast and the steps that you're gonna need to take to get a home loan. Looking forward to our next conversation. We'll see you in a few.